You're good.
All right, Karen. I forgot to hit record before. So I already introduced all the coaches. I'll write that in the email, and I'll write down everything that I already said, so I'm not going to say it all over again for everybody that's already here. But we're at this point right here, sample event heading. So we were going to take a look at a sample event. So the event manual looks very similar to the sample copy I gave you, except all 23 events are in here, and they're on the website. Students have access to this. It was in their first informational thing that I gave you guys, and I will email that out again. But let's just take a look at one. Each one is set up the same. It gives you a description of the event. Okay, so this is an InFIS. It tells you how many people can participate in that event. So 2 people can compete in that event. It tells you how long it is, and it tells you the parameters. Like you can have one sheet of paper and have notes on both sides that you can use during the event, right? Sometimes they'll tell you that you can have a calculator or not have a calculator. Okay, then it tells you the competition and what you can expect. This one in particular, it says, is a written test, and it will be related to these topics here. So within the respiratory system, it lists all the parts of the respiratory system that a team member might need to know. Okay, the digestive system and all the parts of the digestive system. Hello.
Hi.
Hey, Reno.
Hi.
Yeah, you also have cross country practice.
Yeah.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay. Right? And then the immune system. And then it tells you at the bottom how you will be scored. So it says high score wins. Now, sometimes it's a little bit more detailed, like in a building event, where they will go, so again, same headings, right? But they will tell you specifically, you're going to get this many points for time, this many points for distance, this many points for keeping it in the center, this many points for construction. And oftentimes, the building events have a paper test attached to it too. They might ask the physics of what's going on in whatever it is that you constructed. Any questions on that? So you can see that it's pretty rigorous, right? Next slide. Let's see. So how are the events chosen? Because this is always on the students' minds. How are the events chosen? So we start by giving a survey, which we already did. So we took a survey and listed their preference of, or ranked them on what events they would like to do. Okay. Then we sort them out and we try as best as we can to give them their preference, but we also use experience. So if you have past experience in this event, or you have life experience, or background knowledge, we're probably going to place you as one of the competitors of that event. Okay, we work together as a team the whole time, but we can only send 15 people to go, right? And it's just the way that it works out that freshmen have more life experience. They've had more science classes. They're taking ecology right now. So we're going to look at that information. Okay, we also look at what do people do outside of school. I have a couple people that are amateur astronomers. Well, we have one event that is called Solar Systems. They'll probably get first shot at that if that is in their survey that they prefer to take that event. Right? We also fill events, give assignments by what the team needs. So events that are a strong suit for a student will probably get filled first. We'll probably put them in their category first. Events that are hard to fill also take precedence. For example, optics. Okay, we've got some students that's kind of their strong suit, and it was their #1 choice. So I'm probably going to try to fill that first because optics is hard to fill. So that's one of the ways that we pick who gets to do what events. All right, as far as in the competition. Any questions on that? All right. So training is going to take place primarily outside of school. Right. This is 6 months long. We go from now until April that we work on these events. And right now we're going to start with our Mondays being our time that we meet with students. But when it gets close to an event time, we'll probably wrap it up a couple of days out of the week. Okay, so the 15 students that get to compete. Here's what we do. One, here, this is what our schedule looks like. It's a little crazy. One, we use the criteria from before. Okay, what events need to be filled by the team? Who wants to do these events? Who's good at these events? Who has the experience in these events? So we're going to start with that. The other criteria is that you need to do 3 events because 15 people, 23 events. We need people to cover all of those events. And we also look at academics, behavior, attendance, and these are all part of the athletic code. So I'll send an email with this PowerPoint in it too, so if you want to check out what the athletic and activity code conduct says. But academics, this is an extracurricular. And so if a student needs to rather put their efforts toward their classes, then I think that is where they need to focus their energy. In the athletic code, it says that you need to have greater than a 1.5 GPA. No, 1.5 GPA is the cutoff.
Yeah,
to be considered, right? Right? So you're not going to have a chance to participate. We look at behavior, both in the class behavior in our meetings. Are you using your time wisely? Attendance, that's a big one for us because we can only meet on certain days. And so if you can't attend the meetings, then it's really hard to say that you can compete in the competition.
Or if you can't attend one of the competitions,
That's
it's hard for us to.
yeah. Right. If you already know, like, you want to be in Science Olympiad, but you already know that you can't make the competition date, that's okay. It's a team effort. You can still work with people and come to practices and help build your knowledge and then cheer on people from home and make it to the competition. Come on in. Hello. Here, you'll want one of each of these. This is just a sample. Oops. And this is the contract. Let's see. So study sessions, you don't, okay, talk about behavior, attendance. Here's our big one. Not this one, that's our schedule. So you can see that the schedule is really crazy, right? This is important to know because the big one is parents. We need parents. In order to have a successful team, parents have to help mentor their students. Right? There are 23 events that are very rigorous. So it's kind of like taking on another class. And we don't have time to coordinate with everybody, right? We can only go help guide people, and we only have meetings right now once a week. So we really depend on independence by the student and parents to help students. Questions so far? Okay, so there are guidelines to mentoring students and to coaching students, and you can find these guidelines online on the Science Olympiad page. And some of them are very specific, especially when it comes to building events. Parents cannot touch the building, the thing being built. Now, if there is a safety issue, like you're using saws or something like that, then of course the guidelines say that yes, use of tools should be encouraged, but certain tools and methods may be hazardous and beyond abilities of the student, so that's okay there. But they are the event. What do we call the event? People that run the event. Facilitators ask a lot of questions. So they will be able to figure out if the student built the project themselves or not. Okay? They ask pretty detailed questions. So you can find these guidelines here, but they're mostly related to the building events. Let's see. Yeah, we can't have a competitive team without the parents because we just don't have the time to coach it all. So what we're looking at is approximately 2 hours a week per event. Right, so for 6th graders, if you have 2 events, that's 6 hours a week that you will be spending with that event. working on getting notes, studying, testing yourself, or we'll test you, right? Or building your project, or your building event. Where do you get resources then? The Science Olympiad website is a really good resource. You click on one of those links to take you to the event. They pretty much direct you to where you can find past tests or study guides or things that other people have used in the past. As far as purchasing items, if you need something purchased, you can contact me, or the student can contact me, because I'll use Science Olympiad funds for that. I think that's my last slide. I don't think I put the fees in. No. So the only other things you need to know would be that the fee for joining, sorry, 46, yeah.
46 hours.
46 hours a week. Right? I know. Well, you know what? I did this all at the end of the hour last time. So the fees, $30. This goes for everything from our registration for our team as a whole, $300. Oh, yeah. Okay. It goes for our t-shirts, which is important to everybody. It goes for all of our supplies, all of our building supplies, study guides, office supplies, any extra tournament fees, MSOs, kits, or other things needed by the team. Any questions? Yes. Okay. Yes.
So is there only one
No, we have a regional that we'll be attending in January. January 27th is when the regional will be. And then April is when the state event is. Now there is an invitational that we could go to in December. But I don't know, we have to have a coaches meeting to decide if that's something that we want to do.
Yeah. The reason being invitationals cost another registration.
Yeah, invitationals cost more.
And so we need to decide if it's a worthwhile thing, if the rate is worth it. There's also a nationals, which is a very lofty goal, but it's worth being said. But there is, if you do well enough at state, you can qualify for nationals. I don't know the national meeting this year.
Colorado.
Which is an amazing place.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's possible. You could work. It's possible. Anything's possible.
Rocks and minerals.
Rocks and minerals do really well. Nolan? Yeah, it's possible.
There are schools not much bigger than ours that have made it national.
Yep.
I've done that. I grew up, my school had 120 kids per grade. You guys have 100 kids. So we're slightly bigger than you. My middle school team went to nationals. And it was amazing.
Yes, registration is $300. It is not a typo. That is how much it costs for us to register our team.
As a team.
As a team. That's where it's $30 for each person, and then we use part of that money for our registration fee, part of that money for t-shirts.
We need all to get paid $300 now.
Yeah. $300 t-shirt.
We could buy some good gear.
$300.
I'll sign it.
However, we can switch our competing members in and out as needed. There are criteria that we have to meet, but I'm sure that we will. That's a good question. Yeah. We're planning on staying.
So we have vacation in December, so that's going to be an issue. Students over Christmas break.
No,
And I think she's going to like 4 days.
I don't think that it would be an issue, because it's really kind of on the students and the parents that are helping them
So as long as I'm helping her.
Yep, it should be okay. I mean,
So there's no like competition at that time?
well, that would be if we did an invitational, which that is at this moment probably up in the air, probably not a priority because we're still fairly new, so I don't know if we want to throw that. Another thing to note, like this is the reason that I go over how we pick the competing team. We have 30 students. We get to have 5 from the high school. We have 5 from the high school. We get to have 5 ninth graders. And that's out at 5. And we have that many. So that means it is likely, just due to their life experience, that those 5 students will make the competing team. As far as the 10 other spaces then, we have a large number of 8th graders that have already been in Science Olympiad, and we have a couple of 7th graders that are joining, and then we have a small number of 6th graders. So I don't want to say like, wait, 6th graders won't be competing because we don't know what if they outshine another member, but we have to remember that we're all working on this together. Because sometimes the way the schedule looks, sometimes the event that you have been studying for this whole time is not an event you even get to participate in. Because, for example, let's say that last year there were rockets. So let's say you built a rocket, but then you also have an event at that same time frame that you've been studying for, dynamic planet. Well, you can't launch your rocket and be at dynamic planet and take the test at the same time. So somebody else on your team is going to be launching that rocket. And you kind of have to look at all the events that way. Okay?
Definitely a team effort.
It's a team effort. Like,
It's impossible
so I
without
don't
doing
want
it
to
that way.
deter people if they don't get to be on the competing team. You have to look at it like it's just like a sporting team in a lot of ways, right? The events are set up like a track meet where there's different events happening simultaneously. The scoring is kind of like golf, where the low score is going to win, right? And the rest of it, the practice, the studying, the training, and building, all of that is a team effort too, right? Maybe if you're in 6th grade, you can think of yourself as being on versus the varsity, right? So it's 6th graders learning here for sure. This is your first time around. They're pretty intense events.
And remember that you might go to regionals, but then you have something going on at state, so then you can't stay.
So
We had that happen.
So if I can't make it to state, I have fastbacks. There needs to be somebody else who's as good at fastbacks as I am that we can compete for that person. So, and people get sick in their competition, they can't make it, and we,
I almost lost Nathan completely.
like, it happens. I didn't get to go to state last year because I got sick.
Yeah.
The team sick. Yeah, but it happens, and we need to have, if there's somebody else on the team who has been practicing and studying along with other people, they can step into that place and we don't lose a beat. We still compete, we compete at a high level, and it's great. If people say, well, I'm probably not going to compete, so I'm just going to kind of mess around, not really going to spend any time at home. When I'm at practice and we meet during once-a-week meetings, I'm going to be more interested in my after-school snack than I am about, taking the practice test. When the time comes and we need somebody to put in that spot, you haven't been paying attention at practices, or you haven't been working outside of school, because again, a lot of this stuff is outside of school. You don't need to be in this room to study anatomy and physiology or to build a rocket. Actually, that stuff, but if it's at home and you work on it for more than just an hour once a week, you can work on it every day. And if you've been diligent about keeping up on practices, then you're ready to compete. You're competition ready when we need to. If you haven't been, you let things slide, and you haven't been using in school practice time well, then you're not ready. And you're not going to help the team out that way. That makes sense.
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, that goes along with what we talked about, like the students heard last week about being a team player and being flexible and helping your teammates and not just yourself, because it's not an individual competition. It's a team competition. And I know that gets hard when it's like everybody wants to do Crime Busters, everybody, but not everybody's going to get to do Crime Busters. And like, that's how it is. That's why we rank our first, second, and third choices.
But then that's where you can be, interested in that, what that group is doing and being totally up to snuff with what they are doing. So
Yes.
then, like, if
If there is
game day
somebody-
comes and they can't do it, you are right in there to take over for them.
Exactly.
And we can stretch out some of the survey too. If you're at a practice and you see a group passing a competition,
Yes,
you
good point.
didn't know really what it was, so it wasn't on your survey, or you didn't know that rocks and minerals were actually interesting.
They are.
They
I'll
are.
vouch for that.
You thought they were just rocks and minerals. You might it might be a thing. That's okay. It's okay to say, hey, keep me in mind. I'm gonna study rocks and minerals with these guys and give me an alternate. Maybe once you get into rocks and minerals, you're a rock mineral genius like Mr. Bielbauer, and it just comes naturally to you. Some people it does, and you might outcompete whoever's practicing out then. That's a very real thing that could happen, but that's only if you're paying attention and not eating an after-school snack for an hour during your practice. That's what I do.
Any other questions? Okay, we've already started placing people in events that they are going to be studying. Okay, we have the competing team started. I lost my word there. An idea of what we want, what the possible competing team will be. But it's in flux. It's going to change as people study their events and practices and we test them and things like that. So we have kind of an idea of what it looks like now. But I definitely have the events laid out that people want to do and who's going to be doing what in their events. The only other thing we need to work out is which advisor is taking which events. So this week, we'll get an email, as long as you're still in. I'm going to have to wait. This weekend, I will send out the email because I need to have your contract sent. So I'll need everybody's contract in by Friday, right? So that I know for sure that you are in, that you want to be part of the team, and that you understand that being part of the team means working really hard and working with each other and being cooperative, and it doesn't mean necessarily that you are going to actually compete and take the test or launch the rocket, okay? So have that understanding that you may or may not get to compete, right? Am I missing anything? So after I have, on Friday, that's it. Friday is the cutoff because I'm going to need to make a final plan so people can get started. There are some people that are very anxious and have been asking me, did I get this event? Did I get that event? Can I please get started? Okay? Questions? All right. If there's no questions, then that's all I have. If you think of something later, because that often happens, you can email me. Emailing me is the best way to get your questions answered, or you can email any of the other coaches. We do have a website. It is on the back of, it's on the bottom of the team contract. So you can check out the entire event book there. You can check out, well, the survey is also there. We don't have too much on it right now because it's still the beginning of the year. All right? Okay, then. Make sure that you leave with one of the contracts if you're still in. People that are watching this video, I will attach the contract so you can fill that out. And I'm going to end this video right now.